Dear listener, if you're the type of person who has been through a rough childhood and you had a toxic parent, you felt like you were never good enough, you felt like you were not worthy of love, and you would try so hard just to become perfect, just to look good, have good grades, um, be on your best behavior. Please, everyone, not create any opportunity to be scolded or to receive any anger or hurtful comment from your parent. And you never succeed. From childhood, it keeps going on, and you take so many years to actually realize that it was an unhealthy relationship, it was not normal. Um, Sometimes it takes a lot of years for people to actually realize that this is not the way other families are. Most people, they don't live in fear. They don't feel like they have to hide who they are truly, and they don't have to always be walking on eggshells. And I took a lot of years myself to realize that I was in a situation like that. I um, I had not realized earlier on when I was a child, my childhood, there were good and bad things, but mostly I remember lots of fights and never seeing my mother get the respect that she deserved. And I was always kind of getting the impression that no matter what I was doing good, even if I was doing 90% great things that even the average kid wasn't doing, I would still be receiving a lot of exaggerated and unjustified anger, lashing out and fights, just focusing on those 10% that I'm probably lacking. And it doesn't mean that you have to be aggressive with the child. Even if you are right and the child has messed up, there is a way to explain things. And if you truly love your children, you will never make them cry or insult them or wreck their self-esteem and call them all kinds of horrible things and just say whatever you want, even beat them if you have to. Then you tell them that, I'm your parent, I care about you, I'm just doing what I feel is good for you. And also many toxic parents, they will always make you use that argument that, I have done so much for you, like I have given you so many things, I have given you a house, I have given you food, and as if they are reproaching you of doing that when it's their duty. You don't have to have children if you will reproach them and make them feel guilty about it as if they owe you something. And they don't understand that you are your own individual. Especially the conflicts begin to arise as you become an adult, which is the turning point for most of us, because we feel like we can no longer take it, the interference. You will see these people, such people, if you have had a narcissistic parent or a sibling, someone in your close family, you will see that they always try to make themselves the victim. They always make you feel like the black sheep. They always exaggerate. They will even invent things and lie just to make you appear like the bad guy and as if they are a victim, when it is the total opposite. So they will keep reminding you that, you are, as if they think that you are their possession, and as if they have an authority over you. You have to live your life according to them. Whatever you do, they have a problem with anything that you do. Even if you try to do everything perfectly, they will still find an opportunity to tell you that you are doing wrong. And it becomes really unbearable when you become an adult, because you're finally, most likely, you're not depending on them anymore for a livelihood. And but these people, these such types of parents, they will always scrutinize your life and give you their opinions, even if you want to hear it or not. They just don't understand the concept of someone being above 18 years old, and legally they have the right to do whatever they want to. They don't have to ask their parents for permission. So they treat you like you are still a child, and you have to just abide by everything they say, and they will justify their behavior. They will never accept that they are at blame. Like, that's a major red flag that you have to see. Someone who will never accept that they are guilty, even if they are saying horrible things, doing horrible things, they will still find a way to say that you are the one who created this situation. And they cannot distinguish between what is normal and what is not. Most often they will exceed their limits. When they fight, the arguments get really loud and ugly, and they become totally out of control, sometimes like an animal. And this becomes really scary because you have no idea what the person is capable of in that moment of anger. So having such types of anger is not normal at all. It is a serious disease, and it becomes a threat for people living in that house. So I don't know what's the solution to deal with such situations, but I know that there are many people around in the world who have gone through that situation and are still going through that. I believe that you have to create, do whatever you can, make all the effort you can, and just try to eliminate that person out of your life, because such a person is bringing more negativity into your life just by being exposed to their behavior, even if they are not talking. But they are really experts and adepts at that passive aggressive thing. They make you feel guilty without doing anything, but they are great schemers and actors and manipulators. They calculate and they think. It's a cold-blooded tactic and technique that they keep scheming and plotting in their minds. They will make you pay sometimes if you defy them, or if you say the truth to them, or if you displease them in any way. Just by standing up for yourself, they will make you feel guilty, and they will punish you in a way by withdrawing, by not talking to you for days, by sulking, by just making passive aggressive comments, and by holding a grudge. So be very careful about that. I have never really known, like, having a relationship with a parent who doesn't do all those things. I thought it was normal, like, but then when I see around me, I see that most parents, fathers, are never, should not be like that. You don't keep grudges, you don't sulk, you don't withdraw. And when your child is sick and they are begging you to help them, you don't just keep watching the TV and uh, not even turning to look at that suffering child. Like, I have experienced all of that so many years, and I simply cannot understand how someone can be so cruel. Why did you have children in the first place? So you are totally indifferent. Someone is begging you that they need help, and that child is literally on the floor and unable to cope, and you don't even move from the sofa and come and see. So there is clearly a problem. And I'm sick of everyone saying that parents should be respected. Just because he is your parent or she is your parent doesn't mean that automatically you become worthy of respect. The question is not about age or generation. You don't respect a person because they are a parent or a teacher or a priest. You respect a person because if they really if they really accomplish their role the way they should, and respect is also given, then you get it. You don't just earn respect. It's not like you're entitled to it just because you are a parent. Just by giving birth to someone doesn't make you a father or a mother. Being a father or a mother, you have to give affection and attention and be patient and caring and kind. And especially if the child is not doing anything wrong, any immoral thing or any illegal thing, you should not be treating them like they are your objects and just pouring out all your frustration on them whenever you want, for whichever reason, and you feel like it is justified. So you will see that these parents or these toxic people, they will many times they will make it seem like it's justified, like, I have done all this for you, so I have the right to tell you that. And apparently they will lie and tell you that they care about you, but you don't tell someone that you care about them, and then you go about insulting them, hurting them, making them cry, and just torturing them on any level possible. I call it torture. When people talk about domestic violence, they often think of the physical aspect of it that is more serious, like of someone who is beating you, etc. But even before that, that's also very, very serious, if not more serious. The psychological trauma and violence is as serious and should be taken into consideration, because it can drive someone to suicide. It definitely brings a lot of depression and fear. You are living in an atmosphere of fear. You are not in security. You don't feel safe, and you have this worry. You feel like, it's not, it's a very negative place to be in, where anytime a bomb can explode and you just cannot be yourself. You feel like you have to carry this anxiety all the time when you're walking around in the same house as this person. And that's why I still believe that the best option is to just leave that person, cut that person off from your life altogether. Because one thing is sure, someone cannot just repeat the same mistake again and again and again and again. And then they pretend that, it's all for your good, and they never accept their blame, they never apologize, and they never change. So it's always the same cycle repeating itself over and over again. I have witnessed this since when I was a child. I probably did not observe that much and did not take it to be as serious. But when slowly as a teenager, I cannot count the number of incidents that have happened in my life where I have been in that situation, that unhealthy situation. There have been a lot of ugly fights and shouts and screaming and crying, and very ugly and messy and painful. And I always felt like it was my fault, like maybe this was normal, but then I realized that it wasn't normal. So I cannot count the number of times this has happened. And there reaches a point where you just don't want to go through that again. You just don't want to talk to that person again. You just don't want to see their face again. And it's better to live and wake up every day with that hole in your life, that emptiness, that sort of, as if you have lost someone. And you have to tell yourself that yes, the person never loved you. They never had any love to give to anyone, let alone you. And it's not about you. So I try to not take that personally. I think all children, all adults who have suffered from a toxic child parent relationship and had a narcissistic parent and had their childhood so traumatic, you have to understand that it's not against you, it's not about you. That person has a huge problem. They are not they need help, and it's their issue, their negativity, their problems, their unhappiness. Don't try to understand them. It's not your job to understand or to fix them or to try to make excuses for them. And also, you have to accept that it will be painful, but it's okay. I do believe that it's better to not have such a person in your life at all than have someone who is playing games all the time, manipulating. It's called manipulation. It's very exhausting, because I myself, I had not realized, but I was actually doing all that I could to become a perfect little creature that would never get into trouble with my parent. And I never succeeded again. It always felt like no matter what I was doing, at one point it becomes ridiculous, because you know that you don't deserve any of that, and as if the person is projecting all their negativity on you just because they don't know what to do with their lives and they have a lot of negativity in them. So be very careful. But at one point it becomes, you have to know your rights legally, know your rights, know the limits, that the person is exceeding their limits. And I believe that once you start to feel really unsafe and you're afraid about your own safety, you're afraid that this might resort to physical violence, you have to take some action, and you have to not overthink or worry or feel guilty, because you are the victim in the situation. And the only good news and solution, I think, is really to move out from that house if you can, and just eliminate that person from your life altogether, because they are already showing a total indifference. They don't care. They already say that they don't care what you do, whether you leave or not. So if a parent is saying that to their child, then I think the problem is really serious, and that person is not even worthy of being called a parent. And again, if the child in question hasn't committed anything like highly condemnable, and you're doing that, you're saying such horrible things, then it shows a lot about you as a person, about that parent, that narcissistic parent, that doesn't even deserve to have you in their lives. So these are a few of my thoughts on this very serious and real issue that many people go through silently. But it's time to speak out, and you have to don't be afraid of anything, because you haven't done anything wrong, and no one deserves to go through such a situation. But unfortunately, that's just life, I guess, and life is not always fair.